And welcome back to the Kyle Suchsland Show. Thank you guys for coming back this week. I have a massive show for you guys playing. It was a sports week, okay? We had sports. I feel sorry for you if you hate sports. I don't know what you do in life, right? You look at fucking, I don't know, planets or shit. I don't know what you do. Sports. It was a sports week. And we have a shit ton to talk about. I am fired up today. I am not drunk right now. If some of you guys saying this guy's hammered right now, I'm just fired up. Fully up right there, fired up. Have not had any cocktails today yet. I will. No cocktails yet today. I am fired up. We're going to talk a whole bunch of sports. We're going to talk golf. We'll talk RBC Canadian Open. We'll talk a little U.S. Open preview. We'll talk some interesting comments from Scott O'Neill on LIV. We'll talk Barcelona Grand Prix. We'll talk Chicago Cubs. We will talk U.S. Open. We will talk about the World Cup, how all these great foreigners, how much they love America. It's been awesome. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the United States World Cup team. It's been very fun to watch after the first win. Talk about the NBA championship and the Knicks. Congratulations to New York Knicks on their NBA. I was going to say NHL title on their NBA title. And then we will go to our Crumb Bum of the week. If you watch the NBA finals, you can guess who the Crumb Bum of the week is. And then we'll talk a little Mandalorian Grogu movie preview this week. And then get ready because then on Tuesday, we will have our full, this is we're a one-man operation right now. We will have my full U.S. Open preview show. We will go all into the Shinnecock. We will go all into that. We'll talk about Francis Wilmette. We'll talk about the greatest game ever played. Great movie if you have not seen it. That will be our movie review for next week. And then on Wednesday of this week, stick around and look on the channel. We will have myself playing Shinnecock, maybe with a special guest if we can get someone to come around. And then Thursday, we will have our episode, our live reaction of the first round. Friday night, we will have our live reaction to the second round. Saturday, we will have our live reaction to the third round. And then we will do this exact show a week from the day, breaking down the U.S. Open and all the sports from this last week. So, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. Stick around. Great episode for you guys today. You know what time it is. First, hit my fucking music. Alright, let's start off with the RBC Canadian Open. So, congratulations to Bud Cauley on his first career victory. Bud is a journeyman of the PGA Tour. He's been out there for quite a minute. He's not kind of this young buck that we've been seeing win this year earlier. But Bud has got his first PGA Tour win. What a great first name, Bud. Very emotional with his family out there. You could tell it really meant a lot to him. Getting that first win puts him obviously in much different company and puts his tour card in a much greater spot, his life in a much easier spot for the next couple of years, knowing that he's going to have his tour card at least for the next 3 years. It might be even more than that now. So great to see for Bud Cauley. He played well today. So I know, hand up. I know everyone was not dialed in on the RBC Canadian Open this week, right? So, I got you here on the recap. Bud Cauley came in first place at the 17 under, shot 5 under today. Played great, honestly. Played great for the entire week. Was obviously number one in strokes gained, like most winners are. Was great around the greens, number 3 in strokes gains around the green. Off the tee, had his struggles. He's not very much of a long hitter, but really did not need it this. Before we get back to the podcast, shout out to Golf on Any Tee. If you're anything like me and you want to play more golf, but your wallet has other ideas, Golf on Any Tee gives you the access to participating courses in your area for one flat annual rate, which means more rounds, and fewer excuses. The way I look at it, if you're already spending money on golf balls, hot dogs, and that new club you definitely don't need, you might as well play more golf this season. Check out my friends at Golf and NET and start playing more golf this season. And he is 11th in putting. So very good week by him. Played absolutely fantastically. 17 under par is a great one. Number one in strokes gained. Feels like a little bit. We had some heavy hitters right behind Bud, right there for tournament this week. Matty Fitz and Victor Hovland right there at 15 and 14 under. To be honest, it seemed like it was a lot closer than the numbers make it look a lot closer than it was today. Bud kind of walked away with his tournament on, I think, after about 13 or 14. We had 8 guys tied for a lead at one point, and it kind of ended up sliding a little bit, and kind of adjusted to a normal. So Bud came back there. Bud made birdies on 11, 12, 13, and 15 today to put himself in the lead. Makes a tough bogey on 17, but he honestly could afford it at that point. He was I think he was 3 up at that point. So coming into 18, and shout out TPC Toronto, great track. I think that was a really interesting thing also to see this week is TPC Toronto is between the fans and how great it looked. Like that seemed like a spot that should be more of an elevated event rather than this week in the field that you got. But Bud comes around there, makes a very easy day of work for him, and walks home with a cool $2 point something million, 1.7. No, and it's not that much. That's the whole Porsche is 1.7. I'll walk away with like $900,000. So not a bad week for Bud Cauley this week. Number one, we said, if you guys are saying, hey, you talk shit about Matty Fitz, he's right there. Yeah, just not just a great week, but Fitzy looked like he had it kind of all week as a Friday. Thursday, Friday, Fitzy opened up with 2 great rounds and looked like, hey, he may really have a chance at this. First round, fires a 67, 68, 66, and so 64. So honestly played his best golf today, and just kind of didn't really get himself enough go at it to really end up in a great spot. So Matty Fitz continues to be our power rankings. He was the best player in the field going in this week. Besides maybe, we could probably argue back and forth with Tommy versus Matt at this point. But Victor Hovland. So Victor Hovland also looked good, 500 in the day today. For the tournament, he was ranked 67th in around the greens. So first in approach, 12th in putting. Total tee to green was 11. But really, really struggled around the greens. Without that, I think he easily walks away with this tournament, ranking 67 in around the greens and still managing to be 14 under and then lead in every other category. He was doing something very well. But Victor, I think kind of the struggles continue, right? I think that's what everyone has been kind of hot on him, is that he seems like he should be so much of a better player than he really is at this point. It seems like he's still kind of making those dummy, I wouldn't say dummy, but some of those earlier mistakes that you would not expect someone with his fortitude to really be approaching the game at that point. So Victor just kind of seems like another one that he's so hot and cold, where some weeks he seems like he's absolutely lighting the world on fire and he can't miss. And then he'll maybe shoot 3 over next week and miss a cut. So it's been tough. I'm a Victor fan. I love to see when he's playing good golf. He got that funny Swedish smile like that. But great week by him. Obviously top 5, can't be that mad at. But it seems like if we just get around the greens, he walks away with this tournament pretty easy. We had some I would say weirdo. I guess I should use a word. We had some unknowns that showed up on the leaderboard this week. So Jimmy Stanger was 13 under for T4. and Price Garnett, Jesper Stevenson, and Jackson Sabar. Now, I watch a lot of golf. I know a lot of shit I think about golf. I've never even heard of these people. And every week on the PGA Tour, it's like, I watch it every single week, and then there's new people that somehow make their way on leaderboards and are playing at 1,500 shots. It's absolutely insane how good so many of these people are that they, if as kind of someone comes back to water comes find its level, someone else is busting through the tide up there, and then the kind of water finds its level, and then someone else is busting through the tide. So very good to see there. Good to see some new names. Jimmy Stanger, whatever you say his name, was a tough by him. He's coming down 18. He is 15 under. He is 14 under par. He is tied for third place. He is currently needing to keep his tour card. To keep his tour card, he needs to finish in solo fourth or better to have enough points to keep his tour card. Jimmy puts one, hits the green. Actually, doesn't even hit the green. Just put the straight in the drink on his approach shot on 5, which was on 18 on the par 5. Tough there. Had to drop then. Absolutely sends her over the whole green. Bounce into the bunker. Makes a nice up and down just to have a bogey. And then falls to 13, tied for fourth place. I think he's going to lose the shot at the Aeon Swing 5. I think he's going to lose his shot at getting in at having enough points to keep his tour card, unless he obviously finishes up higher up. He can still finish better in the season, but it's so close. I mean, he was just right there from securing a good part of his future, and now he's going to still be kind of scrambling and playing some non-elevated events, some off events. So tough for him. He's not in the U.S. Open next week, but he definitely a very interesting 18th hole by him. Same thing with Yelmer Raju. He was fighting for the best Canadian this week. Obviously, it's a Canadian Open. That was something that they look for. Yelmer Raju comes down. I clicked one too many times. Stick with me here. I just clicked back. You stupid idiot, Kyle. Come on. Yelmer Raju comes down, makes birdies on 12, 15, and 17 to take a 2-stroke lead over Matthew Anderson, who's already in the clubhouse at this point with the 67th 3-under on the day. Yelmer Raju makes then just that false front in TPC Toronto, hits the front, and then just starts doop, doop, falls all the way back off like you're just like 12 at Augusta into the water. Yelmer Raju ends up making a great up and down to save bogey still, finishes one within the lead. So good by him. But you like to see, obviously, he's kind of, I can't remember, was it maybe through maybe a month ago, I think he was playing some good golf at one of the tournaments. He kind of came onto the scene. He's actually been playing some good golf this season. He's definitely, if you want to make someone to make the cut, he is one that may make some cuts. I don't know if he's going to be able to do any noise at Shinnecock next week, but he is definitely one that may contend for a tournament at some point this year. He seems like his game has been recently too good not to get anything out of there. Where else do we have? Bud Cauley, motions. So I think let's just talk about Canada let's actually touch on the leaderboard first before we touch off. Then we'll do a little more leaderboard looking, and then we'll touch on TPC Toronto, RBC Canadian Open as a whole, and then we will move her on. So how do we look overall? Leaderboard. Wyndham is playing some good golf. Wyndham finishes T11, 11 under par. A good. Wyndham, it seems like he was just lost early in the year, late last year. Playing some good golf right now. Someone else that seems like they were absolutely lost has kind of found his way back too is Billy Horschel. Billy Horschel, I don't think was made a cut for the first half of the season and looked like he was out to Schitt's Creek, to be honest. Billy Horschel with, I think they said, his second best finish of the year so far. T15 at 10 under par today. Good by him. So good to see some guys playing some good golf. Same thing with some of these. Our Tommy Boy. Tommy Boy is 11 under, tied with there at Wyndham at the T11 mark. I love to see Tommy pull one off. It'd be so cool to see Tommy just go on a run. His only PGA Tour comes at East Lake last year for the Tour Championship. It just does not seem like Tommy gets it done when it doesn't matter. And it also doesn't seem like he gets it done when it does matter, because he's not really too great in the majors. So he is a Thursday, Friday merchant. I don't know if he has what it takes to keep, winning these PGA Tours. He was even today while everyone else was kind of moving 6-7 under. He was even on the day. So not great by him. Big Bob McIntyre with a T15 finish, 10 under on the day, 1 under on the day only though. Big Bob up there making moves as we go into the U.S. Open, and then we head back to his homeland, and he's going to be playing some golf over in Scotland. Good week for Max Emilius Homa. Max Homa, T9, 1 under the day, top 20. Or not T9, 9 under. 9 under, T20. Same thing with Alex Fitzpatrick. We talked about him. Obviously, all the stuff that went on with him winning this year and how we have his tour card. Good to see him just obviously putting another top 20 under his belt, believing that he belongs. Let's go into some negatives. So who did not do super great? T29, Colin Morikawa, 8 under. I don't know if it's still the back. I mean, he's so much a better player than how he's been playing as of recent. He just does not seem like he had all those caddy issues earlier in this year. I think he's on his third caddy. Not great from him. Does not look like he's into form. Would love to see him pull off a U.S. Open. I don't know if he can. He certainly, the way he strikes his irons, he certainly is going to be in contention this next week. But tough week for Colin. Tough week for Shane, 8 under, T29 also. Expecting, there's a lot of non-major winners way ahead of him. That's kind of it's been Shane's MO, it really seems, this year. He's been kind of getting his doors beat off by much newer, younger golfers. So without looking too much into Shane's stats, he did not have a great week. Who had a really, really, really bad week? Shout out Neil Shipley for making the cut. Shout out Joe Highsmith for making the cut. Who got cut? So who is our good golfers that cut? Aaron Rai, a PGA Championship winner. Aaron Rai cut 1 under par only. He's out. Danny Willett, see ya. Thorberg Orgenson, cut. Did not, he was playing well later this year. Obviously not a great week from him. Joel Damon, that sucks. Joel, it seems like he's really fucking fallen. Joel Damon does not make the cut. Justin Rose. It's very interesting by the great man Justin Rose. Just not into form. I don't know what's going on. 2 over par was not his week. He got the fuck out of there. That was kind of crazy. I was not expecting someone of his class to be this low on the list here. So as we scroll down, and then the only other one to touch on is Brooksy, WD from Brooks Koepka. He was playing well, but I think something flared up. So heading into the U.S. Open, what is Brooks? Is he playing? Where is he like? Is he going in a limited field? Did he withdraw this? Before we get into more of the golf, thank you to one of my partners over at Vice Golf. Look, we're not tour players. We're hitting trees, cart paths, and maybe the fairway. This is why I play Vice Golf. Premium performance without paying premium prices every time I donate a ball to the woods. If you need to stock up this season, head over to Vice Golf and use code KYLE, Kyle, at checkout to save money on your order. week knowing the U.S. Open is next week and he didn't want to push an injury. All of that's a probability, to be honest. So is very, we could see, but I think we could hopefully see Brooks this week. An injury would be devastating for him this year. It's going to very much, obviously, he needs to win golf tournaments. He wants to be playing elevated events, and him being out for an extended period of time is not going to do anything for his game. So let's quickly also touch on so let's go talk about the RBC Canadian Open. I'm a big fan of National Opens. I think we should be playing more National Opens on the tour schedule. I think that is a very cool thing that they obviously get to do, and I think they should very much look at that as they're redoing some of the schedule, whether it be the Ireland Open, some of these DP World Tour events that maybe should become PGA Tour events. And whether, maybe they're not elevated events, all of them, but having more National Opens, I think, is a great way to go about playing golf. Makes it very cool, makes it very patriotic for their home crowd, makes it very patriotic for the golfers that are in the field. There was the Mounties on 18 guarding the Canadian flag on the Canadian 18th hole. Cool, just cool to see stuff like that. That adds just that extra gravitas to these golf tournaments that some of these ant ones are kind of getting in the middle of nowhere. So stuff like that just adds to it and really makes it feel like it has some weight to it, which I feel like more of these golf tournaments should have weight to them as we get to them. And it doesn't seem right now, maybe not more of the golf tournaments, but it seems like some of the golf tournaments we have that currently do have weight to them don't make the most sense. A lot of the Florida swing is so elevated. I don't know really, it seems like we could elevate some of these more National Opens, maybe not having them before the week of the U.S. Open, maybe it's 2 weeks before. Don't know how the schedule works out for that, but the crowd seemed absolutely on fire this week. They were fucking moving. They were slamming the sides. They had the goal behind there. Wyndham Clark put on the Jack Hughes hockey jersey and got that going. So super cool to see that side of it. It felt like it had a little bit of Phoenix Open vibes where it seemed like that one hole people were just going crazy on. So cool to see that. I think they obviously deserve more Canadian golf events, especially in the summer where you're not going to be playing golf there anytime in the fall or that schedule. So you can get out there in Canada in June. You're definitely you're gonna lend itself to having a lot of fans that are just excited to see some golf being played in their home state. So would love to see the PGA Tour really double down on the National Opens or even some more with Canada, because it definitely seems like those fans are golf fans and they were really into the tournament today. So great to see. Next week we head off to major number 3 of the season. We are on to the United States Open at Shinnecock Hills Golf Course. No, Shinnecock Hills? No. At Shinnecock. We are on to the United States Open at Shinnecock Golf Club in Southampton, New York. So get ready. This is a top tier golf course that we have on the schedule. If it's not going to rain, if it's going to be windy, we are going to get an absolutely fantastic test of golf in this next week. But we'll have to see what the weather looks like. Obviously, it is so dependent on how that weather is looking, how much that wind is blowing. Shinnecock is a very hard golf course. It's going to play hard. But we could get some carnage at Shinnecock of having someone win at +2 or +3 at Shinnecock if we get windy and hard conditions. It's going to be a bogey. It's going to be a bogey avoidance fest. It's going to be people clutching their pearls to make pars, which I love. So we're seeing if we're gonna have a hard U.S. Open. It's really, really dependent on how that weather looks this week. And New York becomes the hub of the golf. New York becomes a hub of golf this week, as well as a lot of other shit that's going on this week in the world too. So we'll get on to some of that next. If you want to hear more U.S. Open talk, like I said, we just briefly talked a little U.S. Open. Not going to do the picks. We're not going to do the full history right now. Watch out for Tuesday, okay? I'm going to record this tomorrow. Wake up, have a cup of coffee, and we're doing our full U.S. Open preview show on Monday, okay? So get ready. Look at your timeline. Tuesday mornings on YouTube, there will be a new show that is full U.S. Open prep. We'll go into the history of Shinnecock. We'll go into the history of how the U.S. Open started. We'll draft what I think are some of Kyle's favorites at U.S. Opens. We'll do my picks then, and we'll talk about through kind of what all those storylines are. And then reminder, if you are wanting some deep dive coverage into the U.S. Open this week, I will be doing shows Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and then this same podcast Sunday, this time next Sunday, we'll fully deep dive into the U.S. Open and break it all down. So we'll have reaction shows, about half an hour each night. We'll have reaction shows breaking down each round of this major. So I think there is a lot to talk about for this U.S. Open. We are looking like a great one. I love the U.S. Open. I'm a sucker for the old school. One of my favorite movies is based on a U.S. Open. The Greatest Game Ever Played with Shia LaBeouf. Francis Wilmette is great old school golf. We will get into that as we start talking what are the best U.S. Opens. But for me, the 1930 at the Country Club is hard to say anything against. With the 20-year-old beating the absolute legends of Harry Vardon and Ted Ray. So, we will talk through all of those. We'll talk through a lot of the fun U.S. Opens on Tuesday. So stick around for that. Where do we go from here? Do we talk? We have a little LIV news, which is kind of interesting. So let's talk a little LIV news. LIV was in the LIV CEO was in, I think it was this week or last week, was in the it's 5 days ago. So it was earlier this week, was in the news. There's some reports coming out that LIV is not paying vendors right now. There are some reports that there's potential that the 4 remaining LIVs may not even happen at this point. I know we talked about this. Now this was when this was first brought up was April 15th. There were kind of reports that some of these events may not happen, where they vehemently denied all this will be going on. That all the events will take place. That's when then TPC Louisiana on May 3rd pulled out, claiming that it's due to weather in Louisiana, and then claiming that it's also they're going to redo it in the fall as a makeup. Scott O'Neill then had a very interesting quote. He said, quote, "What I can guarantee is a heck of a return if you come invest in this business." Very interesting quote when talking about whether we're not going to have the remaining 4 events of these things. And he can't guarantee the events, but he can guarantee the future. It's well, buddy, what is the future? You guys haven't even announced what that's going to look like, what the monetarily is going to look like. There's obviously a lot of talks going on behind the scenes, but tough. So not great from LIV, this week. Again, they continue to be in I don't know if free fall is the right word, but in a spot where it does not look great for the LIV business as a whole right now. It seems like the identity behind LIV and what it is changing, and where does it meet in the world today? Obviously, without its billionaire backers, where does LIV live in the world today? I think is really where a lot of us want to know. So that kind of is where a lot of us said it probably is headed for a point, right? Just like when you have unlimited money, awesome, cool. What happens when they fucking turn off the spout? And that's kind of what we're seeing right now, is that once the spout goes off, what is this league going to look like? And I kind of think we're seeing some of that now with the scattering of some of these events of like, you see the PGA Tour supply lines that have been built for years and years and decades and decades and decades on each other and knowing exactly what to do and how to make fans experiences. Someone coming to that now is burning through money and may not really have the right answer. So not great from them. So we move on. I'm sure we will continue on my favorite soap opera drama another day, but for now there will be more LIV news. F1. Good F1 race this week. We had the Barcelona Grand Prix. Congratulations to Lewis Hamilton on his 106th race win. His first race win in a Ferrari uniform. We didn't do the golf picks this week, people. I forgot. We'll get to the picks still. I just remembered that when I saw my F1 picks. So, first race win by Lewis in a Ferrari livery. I think that's the word. Ferrari seemed like it came through with kind of a major upgrade. And now, to be fully honest, he did get a huge break this week. Lewis did win during when Russell pitted and Lewis stayed out. There happened to be a crash by Lance Stroll. They had to call in a virtual safety car, which reduces everyone's speed limit by 60%. So you kind of wasn't able to make up time. So when you go into the pit, you're not really losing as much time as you would be if someone's going as fast behind you. So they catch up, and they can still kind of then catch up because you were pretty much going the same limit on to go into the pits as you're going on some of this reduced speed. So Lewis ends up taking, which he would have had to go pit and probably would have maybe been in third. With a great pit, would have maybe finished top two. Didn't get that. Got the lucky safety car. Got across the line before Russell to secure first place during the virtual safety car. And then from then on, Lewis was able to just drive in P1 with nothing going on. So from that, he opened up a pretty good lead, and then ended up winning it under another virtual safety car. When Kimi's car kind of gave out, it kind of seemed like. So Kimi's first loss since the first race of the season. And Lewis then takes it up. So Ferrari does seem like it come through with a pretty major upgrade this week in their car. It does seem like they did find a lot more speed. Charles wasn't able to finish. He also had some issues. But Charles as well seemed like he had a lot more pace earlier in this week. So good race by him. I like the sprint weekends more. There's so much more to watch, but not a bad race weekend. A little early, but nothing like watching up and watching some F1. George started in 1 and finished in P2. Kimi started in 2 and finished 1, and then Kimi started 3 and did not finish. Overall, it definitely is a good race. It seemed like it was definitely some of the upgrades helped. It seems like there's maybe some put your finger on a storyline of some of these Mercedes power units. It seems like they're having some struggles right now where they started so good this year. We've seen now, they talked about on the coverage today, some issues with Mercedes. McLaren's had some issues. Williams has had some issues, all sharing the same engine design. So interesting to see how that goes in the year. Do we see the Ferrari engine that's differently built? Do we see that lasting better throughout the year? Where we start seeing the other guys come through with problems as they make some upgrades onto them. So kind of interesting. Some interesting off the track drama too. If you followed last week, the Kim Kardashian drama that we had with the idiot Kim, just was like, oh yeah, every towel belongs to me. Yeah, I'm sweating. I'm leaking Botox out of my face. I need to take the towel. And Kim Kardashian just grabs the towel and like, I gotta bat my face off. My Botox is leaking out of my face. Oh, okay, Kim. Everyone's just fucking staring at her like some idiot. She steals Kimmy's towel, and it's like, okay, well, that was for the winner of the race, not some fake Botox lady that is more a machine at this point rather than person. And so Mercedes made a great video of asking people. It's like, have you seen my towel? Look, Kimmy in his accent, doing his little Italian thing, is asking if you've seen his towel, asking George if he's seen his towel. And then I'm sure there's no way Kim did this. It was probably some of her PR people, but then sent Kimmy a towel that said to Kimmy from Kim. And it's absolutely insane that we're at this spot that's like, well, yeah, it's like, well, I'm a huge celebrity, so I got to get there. And I think I saw a towel and I think it belonged. Everything I think in the world belongs to me because I'm some arrogant piece of shit. And I want to thank one of the partners of today's video, X Golf Libertyville. Whether the weather stinks, it's dark after work, or you're just looking for a place to settle the score with your buddies, X Golf Libertyville has you covered. You can play world-class courses, dial in your numbers, grab a drink, and keep the golf season going all year long. If you're in the area, check out X Golf Libertyville and tell them Birdie or Bogey sent you. Now, back to making questionable takes on golf. It's like, woof, that was tough. Tough look. Mercedes probably doesn't want to cause a big stir with her, but it's insane. It's absolutely insane the world we live in right now that hot pile of horse crap is able to just get in the pit lanes and steal things from people that are trying to actually do sport instead of people that are got famous from making a video online. So Kim is an absolute zero in society and does nothing. So stealing a towel is already a stain where she is a stain in society. So we move on to the picks. I did okay this week, okay? I'm going to say that. Happy with that this week. Obviously, Kimmy lost, sucks by him. Can't really say that, he power engine, that sucks. Lewis, first place, podium win. Easy. Win that, and then Max, P7. So that's a win too. So 2-1 this week brings our total to 12-9 on the season in terms of picks. 57% of our picks have hit on F1 this year. So much better on the F1 picks than we were doing on the golf picks, to be fully honest with you guys. But we had a good golf pick week, actually, though. Let's go. I'll take a quick break to grade these picks, and I'll be right back. All right, so how we do this week? All right, we did okay, not great. We're gonna say 3, 4, and 3 this week. We brings our total up to 37%. Not good. But we'd be failing in every other category. So it is what it is. Wyndham Clark to win. That's gonna be a loss. That's gonna be a loss from me, dog. Sam Burns top 5. That's gonna be a loss from me, dog. Tommy Fleetwood top 10 finishes in top 11. That's gonna be a loss from me, dog. And Brooks Koepka withdrew, so we're not gonna call that. My 2 make the cut. All 4 of them made the cut. So Lowry, Brooks, Alex Fitzpatrick, and Matthew Fitzpatrick. Them is all 4 of them did make the cut, so we're taking that as 4 winners. I didn't put a parlay on it, so that counts as 4. So suck my dick if you disagree. We are now 4-3 this week, which brings our total to a staggering 33-56, 37% on the season in terms of golf picks. Not good. We have to and we will get better. I know I keep saying that and I keep not getting better. So we will eventually get better. And if we don't, we don't. So it is what it is. or I just delete the number and I just look at I don't look at that I'm at 37% for the season in terms of win percentage. Maybe we just the number can't hurt you if you don't know what it is. I stand by that advice for you guys. So sorry I forgot to do those golf picks earlier, but we'll jump into that. I know, sorry for jumping around a little bit. We were just talking F1, talk a little bit golf picks. Where do we want to go next, guys? Do you guys want to talk? Do we want to talk Cubs? I think we go to Cubs next. I think we've covered actually a good amount of all the other crap that we have so far today. Okay week by the Cubs. Nothing, not a crazy great week by them, to be honest. We don't seem like we're just the best baseball team. I'm just going to be fully honest. Maybe I'll say that it does not seem like we're this. We won two 10-game win streaks. Kind of thought like we're gonna be battling for first place. Everyone's gonna be coming for us to battle us for first place in this year. I don't think that's gonna be happening. I think we're gonna be fighting. We're gonna definitely be playing catch up. I think for a lot of the year. West Coast week this week we were in San Francisco, Colorado. And then we are coming home and playing Colorado this week, and Toronto this week, and then the Mets, or at the Mets next in 2 weeks. So this week, almost got swept by Colorado and managed to pull off the worst one. Went on a little bit of winning streak, won 2 games versus the Giants, and then lost today. Ben Brown continues to look pretty good. While I think the rest of the team just is hitting now, right? I mean, we scored some good runs. We had only 1 run today, but scored 6, scored 5, scored 9. So we are hitting, which is good, right? Because there was a while that it was a tough view of it where we could not hit for absolute dog water. So we were in a tough spot there. But it seems like some of the hitting's pulling around, but I don't trust any of the hitters right now, right? PCA, yes, Hap is leading the team in home runs, Bush is leading in RBIs, PCA is leading in hits. But it's like if the game's on the line and we need a hit, I just don't know if I trust anybody, and I really don't trust Alex Bregman. For how much money we paid this motherfucker, he is not delivering on some of what we thought. He's obviously a great talent at third base, but we needed a bat. We're missing Tucker's bat at this time last year, where Tucker really fell off in the end of the year. I'm hoping Bregman's the inverse, because his fielding's been great, but his bat's just sucking dick. And obviously, what's hurting us is obviously the pitching staff is being down. We would have a much better. But, I mean, we're not even really pitching that bad. So it's hard to blame Boyd and Horton and Steele, that went out with injury, saying that's the reason we're in third place. That's like the excuse train that we could be rolling on. So it's really not that. So pick up a couple more wins, lose a couple more games. I don't want to say we're a 500 ball club and we're going to end up in a way that we're going to be 500, but it's starting to seem like we are definitely in a way that we may not be as great of a team as we thought. I think that's going to have to sink with that. I don't know if we go all in at this point in the trade deadline. I think I talked about weeks ago. Do we trade for a pitcher? Do we go after some of these big guys, especially knowing that there might be a lockout after this year? And maybe we do kind of go after a little bit. I don't know if we go after it at this point, right? I mean, I think we have some of our guys locked up that suck, and it's like I don't know where we go from here, because it doesn't seem like we have the team that's going to be contending right now. It seems like we have a good team. We might make the playoffs, but they're not a contender right now. And I think there's going to be some questions as this continues. We'll see the questions asked to Craig Counsell, because I think that's the other big thing that we have not seen is the Craig questions being asked of what's going on with kind of that aspect of it. So that's the Cubs this week. We will see this week. I will be at the game on Friday versus I believe that's the Rockies. Versus the Blue Jays. Yes. So we can see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So seeing Vladdy, I will be in attendance for a 1:20 Friday pitch, so that is always fun. I think we've talked about a good amount of stuff today, and we're nearing the end. We're actually in a good time here, actually. This is the first podcast where I actually kept her moving and didn't just ramble like an absolute moron for 45 minutes to an hour. We kept her moving. We actually have some more, too. Oh, shit. There's way more I have. Well, this is going to go so much longer. I lied. I forgot about all the things we still have to do. Break. All right, let's talk Knicks basketball. Congratulations to the New York Knicks on their finals win. I think Wemby just made everybody in the world a Knicks fan, or SGA and really Wemby made everyone into a Knicks fan after watching that series. Nobody wanted either of them to win, at least from what I could tell on Twitter and people I've talked to. Everyone had some Knicks fever and wanted to see New York and see that the scenes we saw on Twitter last night. That was electric with what New York and just the streets full of people. Can only imagine the Bears winning a Super Bowl. Brought me back just the nostalgic of 2016 when the Cubs won, being out in the streets when that happened, and just how cool that was. And great to see. Jalen Brunson is a fucking killer. My God, can that dude play some fucking basketball? Shout out Jalen Brunson, Chicago boy, Stevenson boy, Jalen Brunson from the area. Jalen Brunson is from Lake County. Jalen Brunson absolutely dominating. It was great, great to see someone that was not a number one pick. Someone that, turned away the big bucks at the top of their game to see win it, awarded with that championship. Because I think that's what everyone really loves. Everyone loves the 1-1 guy, the guy that is supposed to do this. But some of the guy that, he got obviously picked high, had some success, but, was a free agent, was signed or was traded. So I wasn't a free agent, was traded, or I don't really know. He could have been one of the either. Someone comment if you know which one it was. I did turn away I've heard some upwards of $100 million so they can go out and get some other talent. That's what you want to see of your athletes, if you're a fan of a city, right? Like, cool, yes, I want these guys to get the fucking bag. I obviously want Caleb Williams to be rich, right, if we're going to do comparisons. But, I want to win a championship. And Jalen Brunson can turn down $100 million, what he just did. He just made billions of dollars winning a championship in the state of New York. And I say that because he, for the rest of his life, is set up in whatever he wants to do. If he ever needs $1 million, it's going to happen like that. If he needs $5 million, it's going to happen like that, right? He brought New York its first title since 1973. When people are going to be in love with, they're going to build fucking statues of him. There will be a Jalen Brunson statue for the rest of time outside of Madison Square Garden. And for some of these athletes, it just is unfathomable for me, is that they'd rather take $300 million than that. These guys would rather have this fucking really nice houses and really nice, go on these awesome vacations than have fucking statues built of them. To have people worship them like fucking deities. I cannot wrap my brain around the psychology of that. You'd rather just take your money and fuck off to some island rather than trying to go for what makes you have that historic look at it, right? So love what the Knicks did, right? There will be forever will be Knicks. They're very cool to see from the Knicks because it turned it into a very, very easy to root for team, being with Wemby being just a piece of shitbag that he is. And it's this, which is crazy. If it's the same length again, if this is the next time the Knicks win, right? And this is just how math works, I know, but some of these numbers just sound crazy when you put it like this, right? If we follow this same thing, the next Knicks victory will be in 1979. Nope, I'm sorry. 2079. Let that think about that for a second. Think about how much the world has fucking changed since 1973. And what we're going to see going on. So I'm kind of excited to see the world we're going to be living in now post-Knicks, because we've never seen. I mean, honestly, some of these New York fans need this. I mean, they're just some angry pieces of fucking, oof. Jesus Christ, they need something, because maybe we get some of these Knicks fans. They're not such insufferable idiot assholes that can actually, we can actually stand to them, to listen to them talk about basketball and New York sports. It's like you hear all of them just complaining about, I've never won a championship. We've never won a championship. Okay, well, now you've won a championship. Okay, so now we can't do the same blah, 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 blah shit that we've been doing for 2 decades for a lot of these people that have been doing it seems like ever since I've been alive. I mean, I guess the Giants, but it seems like people that are bitching about the Jets and the Mets and the Knicks, it seems like that's a common group that people like to complain about. At least I know people in my personal life that I know that are fans of those things that like to complain. So interested to see where some of them, I know for me, speaking from experience, it changes me. It's changed me as a Cubs fan completely, right? When you identify with a team, right? You identify with the history of that team. And when it's losing, it feels like it's like if you watch the show Chernobyl, it's like the nuclear reactor melting and the nuclear slime getting all over somebody else, right? It's like, what the fuck is this nuclear decay material that's all over? These, the elephant's foot, I think it's called. That's what it feels like when you're watching your team lose and lose. You become this nuclear decay, this gross obscenity of hate and pure rage when you just watch them lose and lose and lose. And for a team to flip that, the Cubs did in 2016, like the Knicks did in now, it changes who the fan is for me as a person, right? When you watch that team, your emotions will forever be BC and AD, right? There will be 2 parts of you as a fan, right? It's going to be the agony that you felt as a fan of. And now the Cubs had it much longer than the Knicks did, right? But the before and after, right, is going to be so different. You kind of have, a lot of it is, we want to bring it back to golf. A lot of it's like Rory McIlroy a little bit, right? Where, we had Rory win the Masters last year and then kind of go into this little depressive mood of well, what matters? What does it matter if I win golf tournaments? And he had to find his reason of why. And that's a little bit for sports teams. After they win, it's you obviously want them to win again next year, but you just touched Everest. You sat in Everest. You know how hard it was to get to Everest. You know how improbable all the fucking, walk-offs you hit that year. All the fucking breaks that went your way. Knowing that that's not going to happen. That's very unlikely to happen again. Besides for this, the select few. But it's very, very cool for the Knicks to get their championship. It very makes me happy to see on social media, to see all the fans just pure jubilation, pure absolute bliss on the streets of New York on a beautiful Saturday night. It gives me hope for the world that, maybe this isn't so fucked up afterwards, because if you can bottle that up, if you can bottle the sports fan experience, if you can bottle what people feel for a basketball team in a city, I mean, that's what it's fucking about right there, right? And that's what really makes it cool. And that's really, when I want to go to something else that's been really cool, that really gives you hope for the future, I was not at all expecting this. I'll be the first to raise my hand and say I may have been even bordering hater level on the World Cup. We may have been addressed on the show, the hate for the World Cup, saying, why is it here? Not that I don't hate the World Cup, but it should go to a country that it matters more. It invokes the country, right? I think I spoke those words at months, maybe 2 months ago, right? And I, hand up, could not have been more wrong. I fully admit I was 100% wrong. It is absolutely hitting. And honestly, the first thing I've seen on social media for a long time that's not been pure shit, that seems like it's just pure of heart, is foreigners visiting America and having their general reaction to some of the shit we do here. It gives me great profound. It gives me profound sense of joy that our human experience may not be so shitty afterwards. That the things that we're maybe doing and the things that we have wrong, the things that we argue against us, there is so much more that we have done right in this fucking stupid world, in this country, than what we've done wrong, right? There's obviously a million things we disagree about, right? There's a million things we do wrong. People want to argue politics and class structure. You want to argue, just pick the topic, right? We're doing things wrong, right? Talk teachers, right? The education system's messed up. Talk to people in marketing and influencers are so fucked up. Talk to accountants, tax laws and shit are fucked up. Hearing just foreigners visit our land and having their basic reaction to these things gives me the sense of thing that's like, hey, it's not so wrong, right? I know it's not at all, everyone's, I'm sure, seen it at this point, right? It's been the German guy, I think he was in Chicago for a while, and I think he's in Houston now. There's a German guy in the South. There was a girl that was in the Indiana, or Swedish girl, I think that was in Indiana, and then is now in San Francisco. There's a Japanese guy, I think, in maybe Boston. And to hear, just look at, it's just on Twitter, looking at some of these takes. And I know some of them probably are now, people are monetizing and it's got past a point, and some of them are fake now. But for the first couple of days, it seemed real. And their reaction to just having some of our food, and some of the people understanding the melting pot of cultures and what the driving 4 hours of state lines and how your world can be completely different, and why so many Americans never travel outside of America, because you can go to vacation in Florida, or you can go to vacation in Texas, you can go to vacation in Arizona, you can go to vacation in San Francisco. And seeing that so much of that, it's been a very great week on social media, and it has that. There's little times that I have the reference from, this is the deep cut, right? But stick with me here. Avengers, Age of Ultron, right? Sokovia's flying up, right? It all looks like help is lost. The Avengers are not going to be able to do everything. They are either going to be able to save the planet, or they will kill everybody on board, right? And right at that time, Nick Fury gets on the radio, and the helicarrier comes up, right? And in that moment, it is, I can't remember who says it, but, and I don't know, whatever the fast guy, I was like, this is S.H.I.E.L.D.? And Captain America said, this is what S.H.I.E.L.D. is supposed to be. Think about that. This is what S.H.I.E.L.D. is supposed to be, right? And when we start talking about all the shit we have wrong in this fucking country, there's so much that is right. The golden fucking corrals, the gas station fucking mega drinks, the fucking Twinkies, the people being obsessed with our yellow school buses. It's been a very interesting week on social media. And it, as much as the world talks about how much they don't like us and stuff like that, is, I think, a very common sentiment online. It's very good, and I think it very much brings Americans. Turns out Americans love when you suck our dicks. Americans love to get fellatio about our country. And if we tell us we're great, we're going to be fully on board with you. And I think, honestly, from following on me, seeing those things made me like way more into the World Cup. And all of a sudden, I'm like, you know what? I guess I'll watch the World Cup. It'd be kind of cool. It's kind of cool. And it is cool, right? I'm not the biggest soccer fan. I love the flopping penalty they're doing. I love that. I would say I was big anti-flopping pussies. I was a big soccer. I fucked it up. I was a big that soccer is anti-football flopping pussies. But seeing that they are literally making that a reviewable thing now, that if you flop, they will literally can kick you out of the game. It's like, oh man, that's way better than watching all these dumbass receivers. And love Josh Allen, but every time Josh Allen gets like, and it's like, okay, stop, buddy. It's like we're fucking grown men here. Stop being a fucking child. If you get hit, like, we're playing football. I get you're trying to get around the rules. I get it. That's for the benefit. I get that's how you get more money. But you're cheapening the game, right? So, and if you're going to cheapen the game, that means we're going to have to call you for it, right? So I love the soccer that doing that. And I love the technology. The ref cam is one of the cooler things. It's kind of like what the Olympics had with the high-speed drone, right? It's like another thing that was just like, this is awesome. The refs just have a little cam on their sides of their heads, and then it's not like 4K, right? It's it's probably 1080. Maybe it's 2K. Maybe it might be 4K, right? If my little GoPro's 4K, that's probably 4K. And it has replays of like from the ground. How cool would that be for the NFL if they have that and you see some guy running over the middle and the ref's like 7 inches away and you just see them or you're in the pile and the ref's throwing people off and you have that view from the ref cam with the pile. That needs to happen this NFL season. NFL, if you're watching me right now, NFL, talk to whoever got the helmet cams for FIFA and put an order in yesterday, okay? Put an order. You'll NFL, let me help you out. You'll take 64 of the cams, okay? We'll start there. We're going to give 2 per team, and I want them on. You know what? We don't even need. You know what? There's only 16 games a week, right? So give us, you know what? We'll take 64 cams. That means we have 3 per game. We'll take them. NFL, like, put an order in yesterday. You want them. I know you want them. We want them. So that means you need to go buy them. Go buy those cams. Get that shit figured out, because that is one of the cooler looks that we've seen recently in sports, and it seems like that should completely be something that is in a sport where you have refs that are omnilateral movements around the field. They're not fixated to kind of one spot. Even if they're fixated like baseball, it could be kind of cool, right? And okay, so here's a hot take about soccer that I'm going to give. This will be our last point. The World Cup has been fun. I've enjoyed it. I've watched a lot of the games. So this probably will be an ongoing segment for the next couple of weeks as it continues to go on. Unless the United States loses, then we'll very quickly lose interest. But while the United States looks fun and good, my interest is peaked. So we're going to get into the hot take right now, okay? Why is there not just a World Soccer League? Why is there not just a World Soccer League that just is played and every player from their nation it's the national team and they have there's the African Cup and there's the North American Cup, and every team travels to some nation that year, then they host it. And it seems like it's the only sport that every single nation collectively does together. And I get there's a Premier League and the MLS, but let's just fucking morph these into one super conglomeration, right? And we have one world soccer government that every nation has a soccer team, and we just have whatever. If you're a nation, you get a soccer team. Why not? I don't get why we don't do that. It sounds cool. Imagine we had the World Cup, but it was just always. Kind of sounds cool. I don't care about the MLS. It's hard to care about some of the stuff. But if it was a World Cup always, it seems like I get that there's people right now that are you fucking idiot, I could never do that. There's MLS, there's Premier League. I get that, okay? Shut up. But it's the only sport that it can do this, right? So if I get it, you're gonna have to sacrifice something if you would like this, right? Because progress requires change, okay, people? And if we want to change for the better, for soccer, for football, we may need to invest in a one world government that just is a multi-conglomeration of football, kind of just all grundled up together, and you just get to watch it every year. We have a couple host nations that, it flips each continent. Maybe it's in Italy one year, maybe it's in Russia, maybe then it's in, I don't know, Zimbabwe. Shout out Za from Barstool. Maybe then it's in North America again, or maybe it's in Canada or something, right? We do a tundra soccer where we play on ice, and then there's goals and they have sticks instead of ball. That's hockey. Fuck. But that's kind of the World Cup take, right? I think it is it's cool. It's been cool to watch. I will continue watching. Asterisk the world with the United States being in it. If the United States is not in it, my interest will most likely decline at a very, very, very steady rate. And it honestly, we have a very test this week. It is U.S. Open week. We have Cubs this week. Now there's no more basketball. There's probably no more hockey. So that's we are coming into the slow season of sports, right? So it'll be the test of if it's gonna be on a TV this weekend with U.S. Open. So while we have two TVs dedicated to the U.S. Open, does it get TV 3 over the Cubs? I don't think so. So we'll see. We'll see this week. We shall see this week what does happen with the Cubs, or watching the post game. What happens with USA Soccer? They'll have their next one, and then I think there's league play for another 2 weeks or something. And so we will have more time to talk about it. Talking about we've been going for a while today. Fuck me, man. We're gonna do this be an hour and a half episode. I suck. Even I talked about how I was gonna be quick today, and I still just fucking kept talking. Movie review. The Mandalorian and Grogu. It's okay. Like, it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was bad. I think some people are reviewing it saying it was trash, it was unwatchable, it was bad. I would not say it was unwatchable trash. It felt like, if you've ever watched any of this, and I've not watched I think the latest season or two, even honestly 2 seasons of the show. Some of the show is just so slow and so boring. It seemed like it was just like kind of 3 episodes pushed together. It seemed like there was just two. The story ended, and then we went to a new little story. It's like, well, that doesn't really seem like a movie. It kind of just seems like an episode of TV that you just kind of put together and edited together to be a movie. But I don't know. So it was weird there. I don't know if they do that because, like, hey, we're not going to have people's attention for 2 hours, so we need to make it quick. I don't know if it's that much of a spoiler, but I mean, honestly, the whole thing's a spoiler. So if you care about it, don't listen to it. There's also, like, part of the story is Jabba the Hutt's son, that he's like, nah, he doesn't want to be bad. I don't want to be a bad. I don't want to be a gangster and be bad to people. So, like, Jabba the Hutt's whatever son, Fatso the Hutt, is like moving around with Mando and Grogu, and then they're like saving people. I don't know. It was just kind of stupid. Which I honestly, this is another take that I also don't know if I hate. It definitely felt like it was a kid's movie. And to maybe a point, should Star Wars and that stuff be geared towards children? I would kind of argue maybe yes. Right? I kind of think it's maybe hard. You know, it's a little hard to say not to that, right? It should be a children's thing. It was designed for children originally. It seems like adults, as most things in the world, the adults that are just want to suck nostalgic from their teat of their old 30s and 40s, have now taken Star Wars and co-opted it to be an adult franchise, where I don't think it was originally designed for 30-year-olds or 40-year-olds. It was designed to be a children's movie, but it was done so well. The movie now is it designed for children and then done badly. So it's like now adults are like, well, this doesn't make sense. Well, it's like, I get the point, and I'm kind of on that camp too. But it's like, at some point, I think Star Wars has just kind of fumbled the bag, and at some point, I think me as a 33-year-old adult maybe needs to be more okay with that than I thought I have been in the last decade. Maybe it's the movies are just no longer and should not be made for me. Is what made them kind of suck. It makes them not just be so fun. So that maybe is a bad take, but I don't know. Just I did like that it was not. It definitely was not world building, right? We didn't come out with it having like, okay, this is Mando 2 is coming out. It definitely left the room open that there could be another really episode to it. But it was just it was meant to be more of a fun movie, which I do like from Star Wars, right? I don't want to hate on, because right, we have some of the bullshit of some of the other prequels that did too much world building and then brought too many old characters brought in. It's like, well, maybe you didn't need to do all that. Maybe that's what kind of messed some of it up, to be fully honest. So, out of 7 out of 10, right? I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I think 7/10 is honestly kind of low. It probably deserves like a 7.5 out of 10. We're going to bump it up to a 7.5 out of 10. So bumped up to a 7.5 out of 10. We'll give it a little more points there. So I didn't hate it as much, and it was better than Batman and Robin, which was a 7 out of 10 also. So if we're using that as a sliding scale, not great. Probably just as good as Fast X, honestly. That's probably a pretty good spot to put it. If you're on an airplane, great movie. It'll entertain you for an airplane ride. Besides that, if you're looking to have popcorn and watch a great movie, maybe hold off. Crumb Bum of the Week. I had another Crumb Bum that I wanted to. I can't remember I had 2 people to nominate for Crumb Bums. But the most deserving of the Crumb Bum this week, as well, I cannot remember my second nomination, will be Victor Wembanyama. Wemby did not have a good week. Really looks like a sore loser. Really is like multiple reports of like, dude, you're like a second year in, and you're just talking like you own this league and shit. Like, why? Because you're super tall. Cool. Like, what? Like, I can also argue on the other side that it is cool that he's tall and that he's not his ACL torn, but he kind of seems like a douchebag where he's elbowing people in the head. He's stepping in people's landing area. And it's like seeming like he knows he can get away with that because he's just so tall and lengthy. It does not seem like the best dude overall. Just get bad. I mean, just a dickhead way. I mean, he ends his press conference too after just losing the final. I was like, dude, fuck you. These people are paid to work. They're paid to get a story. Sorry you want to go fuck off to your fucking probably France mountainside and suck some Buddha's dick for the next 6 months. You don't have to be a fucking douchebag to the media. Like, fuck you, dude. It's such an asshole. So for him, didn't love that. It seemed like there was going to be some going on, and that he was going to get a technical for one of that kind of the step in that he did, and restricting Jalen Brunson's landing zone on one of the threes. And there seemed like a good chance that he was going to be suspended from Game 6, which would have been honestly super interesting to see what would have happened if he was suspended for Game 6 on Tuesday night. What would have happened? There would have been would have been kind of fun to see. Actually, I'm kind of wish we kind of would have had that, because it did seem like we were in a spot that we were going to get something crazy with how they were talking, at least in coverage. And if it didn't happen, people would have been bitching, maybe going headhunting at him. So probably for the best in the next win, because there would have been a lot of more drama. But Wemby, very deserved Crumb Bum of the week. SGA got it a couple weeks ago. Kevin Warren got it last week. So we're just on a run of Crumb Bums in the last couple weeks. That's all, people. We're going back through. That is the show. That is everything. I will be back tomorrow. We will be back with probably a similar length episode, fully breaking down the U.S. Open. We're going to go through all the history. We're going to go through all the history of Shinnecock. We're going to go through all of the storylines there possibly are for this U.S. Open. Going to go through all of some of the amateurs that are in the field. Which one of them thinks we have a chance? Shout out Brandon Holtz, friend of the show. Rooting for him this week, and we will talk kind of all of who our guys are, and get ready for the U.S. Open this week. Then, if you are a fan of that, remember to stick around. It will be on Tuesday. Wednesday, we will have my preview of Shinnecock on PGA 2K25. Filming that tonight, actually, as this episode renders. That will be filmed later tonight. So we'll see how that does, and see if I can somehow, if Kyle Suchsland on the game, what he can do on Shinnecock. We'll put the wind up super high and make it hard. So watch that. That should be fun to me crashing out, I'm sure. And then remember, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, there will be half an hour reaction shows, and then a full hour and a half show on Sunday. Hopefully we can get someone like Tyler to come back and talk again with us. That was very fun when we talked after the Masters. And that will be the plan. So if not, we will be back. So please remember to like, comment, subscribe if you guys have not to the episode. That is massive for our algorithm. That does huge things. I very much enjoyed this. Talking to you guys here. This is honestly very cathartic for me. Kind of had a very anxious week. I didn't really know if I was going to share this. It was and kind of just deciding not to. I should have. Kind of a very anxious week with me. This is episode 31. I've been busting my face off on this every single week, and I love it. Honestly, I love doing this. But there's weeks that it seems like you're just hitting that fucking gravel, that you're digging the hole, and it's just some weeks it seems like the spade goes a lot easier and dirt flies off, the thing, and honestly, just some weeks it seems like it's a lot fucking harder. And last week was one of the weeks where it just seemed like, man, fucking digging a fucking hole right now, and it's hard. And I chose to dig this hole. I very much chose to dig this hole I'm in right now. But sometimes the hole, it gets hard to dig, right? And I'm gonna keep doing because I'm very confident what's on the other side of the hole I'm digging right now. It's not a hole, it's a tunnel. But some weeks it starts to feel like a hole, right? It starts to feel like you're digging into pure nothingness rather than the tunnel that I'm trying to go through right now. So couple, honestly, not great days, right? Kind of just anxious days. Just weird for, anxious, if any of you guys have anxiety, you kind of know where it's just like, once it gets triggered and you're kind of on a little anxious spot, it just seems like every weird little thing happens. It's just, it becomes a mountain or a molehill becomes a mountain very quickly when you're in an anxious mood already. I was a little bit in that last week and then had some other things, and it just was not the most fun week. And it's like, man, sucks. But this is where I'm trying to be open on the show, right? I want to, if anyone's in this situation, right? I understand, right? Anxiety sucks. Someone that I've done, right? It's like, man, I just took the dog for a walk. I went outside, I breathed some fresh air. I saw some family, had some connections, people that I know that love me, and I was like, okay, hey, we got back to zero, right? We're at a base level now, and let's just get back, right? So it's, if you have anxiety, I feel for you. I also have struggled with that in my life multiple times, and just know that it does get better, right? I have had periods where it definitely has been more anxious periods and less anxious periods. Right now, as I talk to you guys right now, it is subsided, and we're fucking back. Let's fucking do this thing, right? But I'm sure there's gonna be times again where it's like, man, what the fuck am I doing with this stupid, right? The Kyle Suchsland Show, right? Where like, this is crazy. What kind of egotistical narcissist douchebag am I? Right? And there was times of that last week, right? So we are very much back to full steam ahead this week. And anyone that's made it to this part of the episode is appreciatively. If you've made it through all the other bullshit and now you're listening to me ramble about this bullshit, I very much appreciate you guys that are out there. You guys, you don't need a million soldiers to take over the world. You need a fucking bunch of soldiers and a Trojan horse, and you need to just take those ones and fucking thing. And so I do not need the world listening to this show, but for those that are listening, please know you are absolutely part of the army, and one day when we are fucking taking Rome, you guys will get the glory and you will get the riches. Anyone that is, on this early is you. I love you, honestly. To be fully honest, right? This is where I'm. If anyone's supporting me right now, this is the hardest, the hardest I've ever tried at anything in my entire life. That's sad. It means a lot if you're supporting me at this right now. So if anyone's had a bad week, feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to talk to anyone. I know I've had some bad weeks. If you've had a bad week, please reach out to me. I will more than happy to talk to anyone. If you're going through a tough time, feel free to send me a DM. Reach on me on any platforms on Birdie to Bogey. I will make sure I'm going through them a lot. Please reach out, because if you are having a tough time, please know you are not alone. There are a lot of us out there, and there are also a lot of us out there that give a shit about other people. It does not seem like sometimes that there are so many people that give a shit, but I promise there are people in this world that do give a shit. So if you are going through anything that you can't tell a soul, you want to tell a random podcaster, go ahead. I am more than willing to open and talk to anyone. So thank you guys for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. This has been the Kyle Suchsland Show, presented by Birdie to Bogey. We will be back next week for our recap. We'll be back on Tuesday for our U.S. Open preview. Peace!